What is up, guys, and welcome to another edition of the Market Marauder Show, being the market one trade at a time. Hope everybody's having a great 4th of July out there. Able to lock in some profits on this short trading week. So yesterday we had a very short day of trading. It was a half day. In this video, I'm going to be talking about Tesla and what some of the analysts are saying about Tesla. Overall, Tesla is up on the entire week. On the 5-day, they're up to $248.50. So in the past 5 days, up 26.20% to end at $248.50. So overall, very bullish. And this is due to the delivery numbers coming out beating estimates. I think overall, there are a lot of things to consider and factor into the market concerning Tesla. Overall, all the different branches that they do as far as the company as a whole. But let's jump into some of the things that analysts, specifically the bears themselves, are saying after this delivery number beat.
227 is obviously below where we are right now, and you recently reduced your price target just a couple weeks back based on lowered robotaxi assumptions. How much of the 227 at this point is robotaxi? I guess you're not expecting much out of the 8/8 event.
Well, it's about 52% of my valuation
Okay.
is robotaxi. Dropped it from about 70%. I mean, look, the stock has run up quite a bit past week or so. I mean, this tends to happen with the stock. I doubt a lot of the investors who are pushing the stock up are doing all the rigorous math that I've done. So maybe it's run a little much. I think the delivery number is something that folks are maybe over analyzing. This is really an autonomy play. August 8th, I think it's important kind of from a conceptual point of view. You're going to get people like me write these long, flowery reports, but you're not going to get meaningful financial contribution from a robotaxi for a long while. So, yeah, I think we're caught between these two waves of growth. Not sure how much near-term upside is there in the stock, but I do like it.
When you said that, others may not do the rigorous analysis, what are you basing this rigorous analysis on? I mean, a lot of other analysts who are pointedly bearish on the stock will say that we've gotten no details on what robotaxi will be or what it might mean for the company. So how do you then plug that into a model which is so fine that you can go from a $600 billion valuation plus to 400 something?
I think the way to approach this, do a top-down look, right? You say, do you believe in robotaxis? Yes. Okay. What is the market size for this? It is enormous. Okay. Then you try to be as conservative as possible. Say, what is the minimal amount of market share I think Tesla could get realistically? I give them 20% market share in the U.S.
Market share of what? What is the total addressable?
Of that total addressable market.
Which is everybody in the world who wants to ride a car?
No, it's a robotaxi market where I haircut and I do substitution of private car ownership, only people in cities, housing dynamic. There's a lot of work, yeah. And so you do that math and you come out to a pretty conservative. Actually, the reason why I cut from 600 to 400 billion is because I lowered my pricing assumption with the help of our internet analysts, and I raised the amount that companies like Uber and Lyft are going to get from that relationship, because I was underestimating the value from those app providers.
I'm interested in your take on how far ahead of the curve they are on robo-taxis in terms of innovation, because clearly they were ahead of the curve on EVs, but pretty much everyone's caught up with them now, and some Chinese players like BYD can deliver EVs at a much lower cost. So could the same thing apply on robo-taxis, at least this time, even before it's become widespread and adopted?
Yeah, that's why I did this approach where I looked at the entire ecosystem. There's a lot of players that are going to play in this, right? It's like really three parts. It's the car, it's the software, it's the app. There are going to be a lot of OEMs that are going to make the car. There are going to be a lot of companies that will do the software. In terms of them specifically, I do think FSD version 12 was a breakthrough event. I mean, Elon's completely pivoted the company from not only from a headcount perspective, but in terms of pushing out the next-gen facility, now unveiling the robotaxi on August 8th. It is a game changer, and they do have the most miles on the road thanks to Autopilot, the biggest fleet of cars on the road. There are a couple other companies, obviously. Mobileye is a good notable one. Obviously, GM and Waymo are. So there are going to be a lot of players in the ecosystem. All I'm saying is they will have a big seat at the table. And like I said, 20% market share for their walled garden, I don't think that's unreasonable, and only 7 to 8% in Europe and China. It's because the overall TAM is so big. It's in the trillions of dollars. I'm only saying they're going to get 400 billion of this enormous game-changing.
So looking and listening to this analyst and some of the comments that he made, I wholeheartedly disagree with a lot of them. As analysts, people whose job it is to research stocks for a different or specific company, especially one as big as Tesla, I think there are a lot of factors that you have to look in. And so the host even was saying, what factors are those that you're looking at as far as how are you determining your basis for the impact of robotaxi? So really the only thing you can go on is the data you have from how many vehicles are out there and what the new full self-driving capability has. And then you can compare and contrast, the benefits of the new projected robotaxi versus companies like Uber and Lyft and what they do. And then also all of the trials that companies like Waymo have done, which is the closest thing we have to robotaxi. I've seen a lot of videos on Waymo. I think technology is great, but there are definitely a lot of shortcomings, and I don't think they have the same amount of data or technology that Tesla uses. So Tesla with its FSD and upgrading their FSD, already having all those models, creating better FSD models, now rolling out Robotaxi, I think they're poised to have a successful launch of Robotaxi on August 8th. And I think it's something interesting to look at when you listen to different analysts, and you should always be subjective when listening to analysts because a lot of them are really biased, as well as a lot of them really don't do the research. Like back in 2019, you saw Tesla had different stock prices. Every time there's an event that comes out, there's different analysts that are coming out with predictions based on what they believe that the overall market response is going to be to like an event or to a release of a product. But usually once those come out, they change their estimate. So for this guy to kind of be like, hey, well, I believe they can only have this amount of market share because there are other companies that are out there. As soon as the date of August 8th was announced by Elon Musk and the Tesla team, the CEO of Uber dumped a large portion of his shares. So, I mean, that really doesn't show confidence that, hey, we're going to be able to compete. It's kind of more of we're going to need to adapt and see what's coming out and how it's going to be working because Tesla really is, the big dog in this situation as far as it comes to EVs and self-driving. And so I think as we continue on, I made a video probably a week and a half ago talking about Tesla getting to 200, which it did. And now being at 248, the highest estimate that I've seen been released is for $310 a share. Now, if that's going to get there before August 8th or after August 8th, who knows? But it seems like the current trajectory with it in 5 days going up 26.22%, it could be well poised to get to $310 before the August 8th date. And so I think, take a lot of the stuff that you see from a lot of analysts that go on like CNBC or other platforms who take a stance from a bearish point of view with a grain of salt. Take any analyst's point of view with a grain of salt because, they really can't tell how something is going to work if it's not already out in the market. You can only compare on what you've seen in the market and how other companies have performed, but Tesla is a completely different company. So you'll see some analysts come out and say, oh, well, AI, I understand AI, and this company is going to be poised to go out with AI. Well, when NVIDIA came out with their Blackwell platform, there were a lot of companies or a lot of people that changed their estimate after the fact. So they waited till the release of the Blackwell platform, wait till its debut, when they had that press conference and then showed the technology. And then they were like, oh, yeah, it's going to go up. Yeah, this is my new price target. So just take it with a grain of salt. A lot of these people are shorts that have just lost tons of money trading on these stocks. And, they come onto these platforms to kind of stake their position and say, oh, well, it's going to go up or, look at this other portion. So he kind of tried to deflect because you can't really be all the way bearish on Tesla if you're speaking just solely on the EV portion. And so, yes, they are competing with other companies in China, but the China economy, as far as EVs are concerned, is struggling. So, I mean, I think it's really the whole EV market is going to be tuning in for the August 8th rollout of robotaxi, and that's a very powerful position to be at for an EV company, especially an American EV company that makes a lot of their vehicles in the U.S. and then also has some facilities overseas and already has the infrastructure to release these products once the adoption comes in these other countries. So I think if Tesla can move towards, having the release, and if Wall Street can really understand how FSD and the robotaxi are going to help continue to grow the company, irregardless of what Optimus is doing. He kind of brushed off Optimus and was saying, "Hey, it's not really, you know, a factor to consider." It definitely is a factor to consider, especially considering all of the different capabilities that it has, job shortages, the ramp up of the industrial portion of the market, meaning factories, trying to hire more people to get into factories, replacing them with robots. Optimus has its own kind of market itself. Energy storage is also another portion of the market that Tesla focuses on, which has been doing increasingly good. And Elon himself has even said that may outpace the actual EV portion of the company. So you kind of have to look at all the different facets of the company as a whole in order to really take in the large picture of the company. And you can't really tie them down into just one single niche, which is being EV. EV is kind of one portion of this. And even in that section, they're making groundbreaking developments with the robotaxi rollout. So ultimately, I think, once this comes out, a lot of people like this will change their tune, and maybe doubling down, being more bearish, but, ultimately you have to wait to see for this to come out, and you can only predict based on other analytical data that you have. So whatever models that he's using, I don't know what validity they have in comparison as the entire market, because you can only go off of, technology, or a company like Uber and Lyft that doesn't use this technology, or Waymo, which uses the technology but hasn't been around that long and doesn't have nearly the amount of data that Tesla has. And then also you have NVIDIA, which has new technology that's going to be implemented into Tesla to upgrade some of their networks and to store more data. So they're getting more data storage, which is going to help train their models to make them more efficient. So, there are a lot of factors to consider. I think the whole market is going to be waiting for the August 8th date. I think we're going to continue to rally, getting closer to the August 8th date. Will it get to 310? We'll see where it goes next week, especially tomorrow when the market opens. That'll definitely be a telltale sign. If it starts to shoot up like crazy tomorrow and gets to around like 260, I think is the next resistance that I'm looking at, 260 a share. We're definitely going to be looking at 310 before the August 8th time frame. And, bear in mind, we're just in the beginning of July. So we do have quite a while in order for it to continue to go up. But I think it's definitely, very interesting to see a lot of people come out of the woodworks and be like, oh, well, Tesla's not really doing that well. These are the reasons why not. And then kind of midway through their interview change their tune and be like, well, let's focus on this one section. They work for large hedge funds. There are a lot of people, who are looking at this. And then also hedge funds work on a quarterly basis. So June 30th, we just ended quarter two. And so anybody with any common sense at a hedge fund looking at quarter two, you want to recoup your losses from quarter two. So whatever bad plays you made in quarter two, you want to rebound that. So for him to come out at the end of quarter two and be like, oh, well, Tesla's not really one that we're looking at. It's one that they're definitely looking at to recoup the losses from quarter two, especially with the entire market looking at this. It's an easy play. It's an easy way to store up capital, especially since the rest of the market is not really doing that well. Definitely going to be looking at Tesla as it goes on into the future, getting closer to this August 8th date. So drop a comment down below. Tell me, do you think, do you agree with what this Tesla bear is saying? Or do you agree that Tesla will continue to be more bullish as we continue to rage on towards the August 8th robotaxi day? Make sure that thumbs up helps the YouTube algorithm promote the video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.